Hello everyone, today we will have two interesting stories. Before we get to that, I want to ask you to subscribe, like, and be sure to write comments in order to participate in the development of the community. Write how to improve my community, current topics in the stories you are interested in, and much more. I read and listen to all the comments. People write me stories by mail from different countries. There are problems with translation. I apologize for this. I will work on it and try to fix these errors. I want to thank everyone for their support and the people who wrote to me by mail, broadcast news stories. New videos on my channel are published every 2 days at 7 p.m. Don't forget to put a bell in order not to miss new videos. And now, let's go! Hello, I want to tell you my story. I am 28 years old and my wife is 24 years old. We have been married for 4 years and have no children. I was told by her former colleague that my wife was cheating on me with her boss. I used to know him, and he was a nasty man. It is clear that he told me about the betrayal not because of male solidarity. He shared information with competitors and had good money. Therefore, his superiors fired him, and he held a grudge against them. Apparently, in this way, he decided to take revenge on his former boss. Naturally, I pretended not to believe him, but this news explained a lot. Frequent delays at work and parties are not known for what reason. She also went on questionable business trips. She worked as an accountant for a paint company. Her salary was very good. All the employees saw my wife's affair with the boss but were silent. Perhaps they were afraid of losing their jobs with good earnings. This guy who told me everything had nothing to lose. I just didn't understand why he came to me and not to the boss's wife. He was probably just a coward. Okay, I thought and decided not to focus on it, because his words weren't enough for me to arrange a scandal. By the way, my wife changed her image and she got a lot of branded things. Even though I was an ordinary manager and my salary was small, my wife's behavior has also changed. Her mood changed very quickly. Sometimes she made scandals, but an hour later, on the contrary, she was very gentle with me. Also, our intimate life has gone to zero. After that, I decided to play Sherlock Holmes. I decided to start my own investigation. First of all, when my wife went to the shower, I took her mobile phone. I was lucky because my wife loved to be in the shower for a long time. She usually took her mobile phone with her, but this time it was on the bedside table and charging. But unfortunately, I didn't find anything. There were no messages or calls of a dubious nature. I even checked the correspondence with her girlfriends, and there was nothing there either. Most likely, she has competently cleared all the evidence. I began to rummage in her purse in the hope of finding a second mobile phone. But again, I didn't find anything. After that, I checked her laptop, but apart from work documents and photos, there was nothing. But still, there was one clue when I rummaged in her purse. I found a receipt for the hotel payment. This hotel was located 15 kilometers from our city. But in order to prove cheating, this was not enough. I could have blamed her right away, but that would have been a stupid thing to do. Because she would have easily come up with an excuse saying that she was at a subsidiary company for work and decided to rent a hotel on the way back. The story of her former colleague could not be an argument either. If you accuse your wife of cheating, then with a full package of evidence so as not to expose yourself as a jealous paranoid. I already wanted to stop my investigation out of desperation, but the doubts in my head spread like a virus. That's why I decided to contact a private detective agency. But when they found out who their alleged suspect was, asked me for a large sum of money, because my wife's boss was a very powerful man. My wife's boss was 44 years old. He was the CEO of a paint factory. His firm was considered the largest in our city. He was married and had 2 children. The eldest son was a student at Harvard. The daughter, who was younger, studied at an elite gymnasium. His wife, Jessica, is 37 years old and owns a design studio. In general, I decided to go to the inn. I rented a car to be unnoticed. I also bought a quadcopter with a microphone and a camera. When my wife called me and said she was leaving again for a subsidiary company, so it would be very late. I decided it was time to act, so I drove to the building where she worked and hid. I sat in the car outside the building all day, and it was only in the evening when it got dark that my wife came out accompanied by her boss. They got into the car and drove off. I followed them. They were heading for the very hotel I mentioned earlier. There were few guests in this hotel. This couple in love went into the hotel. I followed them in. I had to lose $300 to find out which room they were given the keys to. The layout of the hotel was standard. The first digit of the number meant the floor, and if the number was even, then the windows overlooked the backyard. The room number was 24, and I took the quadcopter and headed to the backyard of the hotel. I found the window of their room without much difficulty. For an hour, they drank wine and talked about something, but then the kissing and hugging started. They quickly began to take off each other's clothes. 5 minutes later, my wife was on her knees, taking his baton in her mouth. Then he picked her up and put her in the dog pose. In general, I think it's not worth telling further. I'm just sick of what I saw, and YouTube won't approve of my revelations. I no longer had a single doubt about the fact of cheating, and the evidence was present. It was a shock for me to see everything with my own eyes. I don't even remember how I got home because my thoughts were confused and the ground was falling out from under my feet. I had the urge to rush into his office and beat him with all my might, but I knew that nothing good would come of it because his guards will knock my head off. Plus, I could have been put in jail after being beaten. All that remained was to make a scandal and throw wife back from home. But I decided to leave it for later. To begin with, I decided to destroy his family. I took a flash drive of the video that I shot on a quadcopter and came to the agency to the boss's wife. I told her everything that her husband, using his official position, destroyed my family. I showed her all the evidence I had. Jessica, his wife, was a very beautiful girl. She had a big bust and athletic buttocks. I immediately felt attracted to her despite the fact that she was older than me. She wasn't particularly surprised by my news. She just sympathized with me and calmed me down. She sympathized even more with my wife and called her a fool. Jessica has known for a long time that her husband has sex with other girls and has come to terms with it. Therefore, my wife was not the first and far from the last boss's girlfriend. Sooner or later, he'll find a new girlfriend, and my wife will get a resignation in every sense of the word. She asked me to send the video to her email. She also said that she had a long-standing partnership with her husband. They no longer had love for each other. After that, I presented all the evidence of infidelity to my wife. She didn't even repent. She laughed and called me a loser and a poor person. She said that living with me was her mistake, and now she was going to have a beautiful life with her boss. On the same day, she packed up and left. I just sympathized with her. I continued to communicate with Jessica and began to take care of her. We soon began an affair. This saved me from revenge and anger. Her husband also wanted to take revenge on me and had great connections, but Jessica said she had dirt on him and wanted him to leave me alone. I divorced my wife. She didn't even try to save our marriage. Jessica is also in the process of divorcing her husband, but it will take them longer than me because they had children and a whole business empire. After the divorce, Jessica will become a very rich man, although I'm not interested in her money at all. After a while, my wife's boss dumped her and fired her from the company. After unsuccessful attempts to restore our relationship, my wife left for her parents. With Jessica, we planned to live together and then how to turn out. That's where the story ends. But I'll tell you another short story. Let's go. It all turned out quite by accident, like old jokes. I went to my friend's car repair shop to fix my car. I warned my wife that I was going away for a long time because there was a lot of work. I went outside with my wife. She said she needed to go to the supermarket and she would also visit her girlfriend. At this conversation, our paths diverged. We spent about 2 hours repairing the car. I had to finish the job because it turned out that I needed a part that could only be purchased to order and wait a week. I had to take a taxi home and much earlier than I expected. According to my assumptions, my wife should have been at home and she did not know that I would be back so early. When I got to the house, I decided to go to the store. The store was not far from my house. I wanted to buy a box of chocolates for tea. Plus, I bought a French baguette. I really love this bakery product. When I got home, I heard music. In the hallway, I saw men's shoes that were unfamiliar to me. I immediately realized that it smelled like gasoline and went to our bedroom without taking off my shoes. The door to the bedroom was open and I saw this picture. My wife jumped like a horsewoman. This aberration didn't see me because my wife was blocking the whole view. I was overcome with anger. I didn't understand why, but I took a French baguette and started hitting my wife with it. This man started screaming like a girl. Then I took my wife by the hair and threw her off the bed. The French baguette broke into small pieces, so I took a box of chocolates and started beating this man with slides off the bed and hides behind the bedside table while shouting, "Please don't hit." They both shouted at me not to hit them. I do not know how I was able to pull myself together, but I calmed down and told them not to be in my house in a minute. They were completely naked and managed to grab a couple things and ran away from my house. I was sure that I couldn't do without a divorce. The next day, I filed for divorce. My wife tried to make amends for a long time, but I was relentless. We were quickly divorced because we had no children. The house was purchased by me before our marriage. Now I'm trying to forget everything as soon as possible and start a new life. If you like the stories, subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up so as not to miss new videos. Now let's move on to the opinion of the author of the channel. The opinion of the author of the channel. According to tradition, I want to wish strength and patience to our heroes. In the first story, I sympathize with the guy who had to watch this German movie with his wife. I am glad that you have started a new life. This is the most important thing. You should not get depressed. You should always move forward. Your wife regretted her choice, and that's a fact. All traitors get their punishment. The second story made me smile. Yes, I understand that this is not funny, but beating people with a French baguette is something. I understand that it's hard for you, but try to find the strength to move forward. Get involved in sports or load yourself up with work. You can turn to a therapist or your friends for moral help. If you have watched to the end, I want to say thank you very much. I love you all. Thank you for joining me on this exciting journey of love, betrayal, and redemption. I appreciate your support and encourage you to subscribe, like, and share this story. Your participation and feedback are invaluable for shaping our content and promoting mutual understanding and community growth. Until we meet again.